Aloha, y'all. It is Wednesday, ruled by Mercury, the 25th of November. It is a red resonant dragon guided by space, according to the dream spell, and it is also a sacral chakra day, Svadhisthana chakra. So if you're going to be doing chakra chants, chakra meditations, do the mudras, do the mantras, and kind of see where that leads you. You will be surprised, probably for the best. Let's go ahead and pull some cards for today, this Wednesday. I was a little off yesterday, so I didn't do this. The sun is in Sag, the moon is in Aries, Mercury's in Scorpio, Venus is in Scorpio, and Mars is in Aries. So the moon is not yet exact, it's 4 degrees off, but it's conjunct Mars. So we might be very emotionally impulsive, reactive, and with the moon in Aries, kind of picking fights might be normal. Sagittarius sun, our truth is what we're worried about. It might be a little hostile, hot-headed, etc. And because the South Node is in Sag, it's probably bringing up things that we need to deal with karmically. We've got the Sun card, one of my favorite cards. Of course, I've gone and changed that's good enough. The lighting, the sun. So we're talking about all this fire, sun and moon and fire signs, right? The sun is fire in the sky, unless you're an electric universe person and think it's a node of electricity or consciousness. Either way, the sun. It's about feelings of pure joy, taking the time to play, being alive, dancing and laughing, allowing life to expand and fulfill you, basking in the energy of the warmth. The Sun card, I celebrate the golden opportunities that life brings. The sun in summer heralds warmth with dazzling glow and is a vibrant source of energy, bringing renewed vitality and freedom. The sheer visceral celebration of being alive. Its intensity unfurls the petals of protection through winter to reveal our beauty, the exquisite process of growing into ourselves. We can begin to awaken from hibernation, the natural conservation of energy, and release our worries and fears into the brilliance of sunshine, allowing its heat to thaw the coldness deep within our bodies. The sun is depicted in this card as the thousand-hand Guan Yin, the East Asian bodhisattva associated with compassion. As a spiritually advanced human being, she is ready to transcend duality, the cycles of life and death, but she chooses to remain in the material world to enable others to also reach enlightenment. She is the most beloved goddess of the Chinese and the bestower of good fortune and success. Her light illuminates the atmosphere. The arms of her rays touch everything, granting them life. The sun symbolism, predominantly masculine in form, has occupied a dominant position in many cultures, mythologies, and religions, with its first possible artistic rendition being traced to an anonymous engraving of a sun ray face at least 10,000 years old in a cave in East Timor, Indonesia. Further east in Japan, Nihon, the source of the sun, the land of the rising sun, right? The sun, depicted as a red disk on a white background, is the national emblem venerated for its brilliance, power, and certainty. Wherever you are in the world, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, its daily rhythms mapping out the path of the human soul, birth at dawn, the power of maturity at midday, and sunset, the completion of the journey. The splendor of the setting sun, brilliant oranges, pinks, and reds dance, refract and melt, reflecting the incredible beauty and mystery of life. We named our daughter Solaria, that's David DeAngelis, welcoming the burst of energy, warmth, and light she would shine into our lives. Therefore, the sun bears bountiful gifts, the fruit of our trials and labors, rewarding us for our determination and struggle in the pursuit of truth with a capital T. It reminds us how good it is to be alive, filled with boundless energy and enthusiasm, laughter bubbling, squeals of delight, children playing, naturally exploring, exquisitely open and expectant, capable of anything. This energy is infectious and people warm to you immediately and are excited by what you have to offer. Celebrate the light. So the sun is it's a major arcana card. It is about feelings of pure joy, taking the time to play, being alive, dancing and laughing, allowing life to expand and fulfill you, basking in the energy of the warmth. So hopefully, that did not help. That did not help. It kind of helped. Hopefully you can see this art. It's one of my favorite cards. Let's go ahead and get some clarifiers. The lighting is so bizarre in here. I know I'm all washed out looking, but the cards are dark, so the contrast is rather high. I got a new deck, actually, an angel card deck. I'm really stoked on that. I haven't opened it yet, but I will be probably incorporating them. I'm not sure if I'll incorporate them into the daily card jams or just pull an angel card every day, like midday angel card or whatever. Beautiful deck by the Wizard of Odd. I'll show it to you all later. We've got the 8 of Air. So with the Sun card, the 8 of Air is the clarifier. So where are we at 8 of Air? 8 of Air. It's about the ego, truth. Sagittarius, Sun, right? It's about truth, the capital T. You even said that in the Sun card description. Truth, power, responsibility, consequences, cause and effect, lessons learned, and memory. Key phrases. Ego does not always tell the truth. And that's important to realize because I think in some way, oh, come on now. Whatever. In some way, we let ourselves tell lies to ourselves, right? Our ego doesn't always tell the truth. Like, oh, I need to go get high. And it's like, no, you don't. Dang, this lighting is crazy. So, effect will always follow cause. Time to change your ways. Admitting that you made a mistake. Memory is imperfect. Self-justification does not mitigate harm. Consequences are inescapable, and we all make mistakes. Meaning, we are creatures driven by our egos. Our ego is in part our identity, the center of our consciousness. It is driven by our instincts and base desires. Can y'all even see this? I'm going to have to see it gets darker. That's good enough, I guess, but I did this the other day and I was so upset that I just kept on fiddling with it and it wasn't getting better. It's probably as good as it's going to get. Alright, so it's the center of our consciousness, our ego. It is driven by our instincts and base desires and constrained by culture and society. It can have us feeling confident and certain, or it can have us feeling uncertain and afraid. It can also employ one of several defense mechanisms to shield us from uncomfortable truths or a reality that we are not willing or ready to accept. So many of us are afraid of the truth. We can be so afraid of the truth that our ego will work hand in hand with our primal instincts and do what it can to protect us. If our ego is wounded or we have been taught to fear, the defense mechanisms employed may also be detrimental to good health, well-being, and to our relationships with others. Our need to feel safe, to feel good, to be right, to be better, to be needed, very Aries moon, Sagittarius sun energy, to be loved can result in the evidence at hand, reality, being distorted and shaped to fit our perception of events so that what we want to believe is in conflict with fact. We can delude ourselves. Cognition is the process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. Cognitive dissonance is a conflict that arises when an individual attempts to hold on to two conflicting beliefs or thought processes at the same time. That conflict can give rise to mental, emotional, and physical discomfort, especially when our actions and our reason for behaving in a particular manner war with our natural sense of right and wrong and the moral code we were taught by those around us. Practicing a behavior that does not harm, smoking or that does harm, smoking or overeating, for example, can give rise to cognitive dissonance. The desire to continue doing something that everybody knows and cannot deny is harmful is rejected by a belief that it benefits the individual more than it harms them. Their parents or grandparents may have smoked for decades with no apparent ill effects, or the individual may come from a long line of overweight people who all lived happy and long lives. The act of smoking helps one to keep their weight under control. I don't think that's why people smoke, but this author seems to think so. While the act of eating makes the other feel sated and peaceful. There's an emotional or psychological hook, and so they continue even though their choice to do so could result in their chronic ill health or even death. What they have is an addiction, and what the mind attempts to do is to make them feel good about the fact that they refuse to give up their addiction. We self-justify. They know and understand the potential consequences of their choice to continue, but refuse to consider them or choose to ignore them, responding in a defensive manner when these consequences are raised. However, the conflict that arises can be dispelled by doing one of several things: accept reality and then make changes in one's life in accordance to that truth, or by the continued use of self-justification and other defense mechanisms in order to make ourselves feel better, continue to do something or believe something that is doing us or others harm. The self-justification and rationalization increases our self-esteem and allows us to see our thoughts and actions in a favorable light. Nobody likes to think poorly of themselves, and so our ego acts to protect us by creating reasons and excuses to justify our actions. This is natural and normal behavior, so don't think, that's typical human ego behavior. We all do it at some time or another. But while we can embrace a natural and normal state of denial, we are unlikely to escape the consequences of our actions, right? We can't hide from truth ultimately, even if we delude ourselves to it. We can deny and suppress, we can rationalize, we can justify, but every action gives rise to a consequence, and those consequences can be both favorable or not. If you do something that you consciously or unconsciously know to have a potentially harmful consequence and you choose to ignore it or believe that it won't manifest, then the aid of error is coming to caution you to think again. There's a price to be paid for all that you do, no matter your reason or intentions, and you alone are responsible for the consequences born of your actions. That's kind of what I was talking about with my fiance today, Haley. I was like, I've got to just take, it's the buck stops at me. I can't blame others. I can't, the opinions of others, it matters and it can inform my opinion, even, and my ego needs to not be self-justified. But at the end of the day, the consequences are mine, good or bad. You are responsible for the consequences born of your actions, and everything you do, cause and effect, will play out. It is inevitable, and the consequences are unavoidable. The Eight of Error is a very challenging card because it symbolizes the need to look at your beliefs and behavior and question them. Are you hiding from an uncomfortable reality? It is time to take responsibility for your thoughts and actions and the consequences they give rise to, and to see them for what they really are. It is time to be humble and accept that you might have projected your feelings about yourself onto another. Have you made a mistake or chosen a path or belief that has not served you well, and instead of accepting this painful truth, allowed your ego to weave a reality that allows you to pretend? It's time to face the facts. And using the sun, the light of illumination, to find truth, Sagittarius sun, to boldly accept the consequences, moon and Mars and Aries. Don't worry about losing face by admitting to your humanity. Contrary to the belief that others will think less of you, in most situations, a simple apology and admitting that you made a mistake or have been protecting yourself from a harsh truth will earn people's respect. Therefore, accept that maybe you don't know as much as you think you do, and that you might be hiding behind a false reality created by the ego that serves only to make you feel good. But do not blame yourself or allow a wounded ego to make you think poorly make you think poorly of yourself. We all make mistakes. We all, at one time or another, try to deny, rationalize, and justify our actions and behavior. Every single one of us. It is an inherently human trait. Our egos will instinctively work to protect us, but sometimes we have to accept that our egos don't always have us do the healthy, right, or honorable thing. Take this opportunity to take charge of your life. Moon and Aries, take charge. Embrace your personal power. Sagittarius sun, Moon and Aries, Mars and Aries. By learning from your mistakes so that you grow in wisdom and awareness. With Mercury and Scorpio, we're going into the shadow and the taboos, and we're saying, maybe I don't need to dwell in this place any longer. I was fooling myself. But that's a deep well to go into and hit the bottom of. Be humble and accept the truth that your ego is not always honest and you are not always right. Your ego might have had the best interests at heart, but it will offer self-justification in order to make you feel good about your behavior, in order to protect you from the harsher truth that your actions may have been misguided or harmful. The path to enlightenment is made up of our mistakes and the lessons learned from them along the way. Wisdom is earned, not bestowed. And I think that's important to emphasize. The path to enlightenment is a path. It's a journey. You're not just there. And it's through mistakes, trial and error, that we become aware through the sun. Awareness comes, right? The sun kind of going or rotating around the earth is a process. It's not always just shining. It's like noon, midday, morning, afternoon, evening, sunset, all very different. Just like our ego going through the filter, or reality going through the filter of the ego. It has different phases. We need to be honest with ourselves. And with so much fire energy, the sun and Sag and the moon almost conjunct Aries, Mars and Aries, we have the chance to really kind of say enough is enough, own it, rock it, and then move forward in such a way that like we're not victims and we say, I have learned the lesson and I'm done with it. Kind of just walk away into a higher truth, hopefully a truth that's liberating. Liberation and freedom is what we have as a birthright if we choose not to delude ourselves with our protection mechanism, i.e. the ego. Homing beacon, number 71. So, this is a Vega future timeline. Number 71, Vega. I know this lighting is so weird, but whatever. In the ancient days, the Vegan mystics developed their practices as a way to always connect with the source, or home, using them as a homing beacon. Eventually, they no longer needed spiritual technology or spiritual processes to make this connection. They felt the source within them at all times, the sun of awareness in them at all times, whether it's day or night. You too have this ability deep within you. Learn to quiet the mind through breathing or meditation, and then just let go, including the ego, right? As you trust in your practice, the feeling of connectedness to this source will grow and grow until it permeates every part of your life. If you need help, ask the ancient Vegan mystics to assist you. This time stream represents the Vegan culture after they healed their greatest challenges as a young species. In the prism of Lyra cosmology, the Vegans were the species who retained their memory and connection to the source, which is the unfragmented aspect of creation, most completely. Their system of mysticism is well known throughout the galactic family and has influenced countless civilizations, including Earth. This is because they have retained the energetic memory of the unified field of creation. This memory acts like a homing beacon, a proverbial light in the darkness, the sun card, light in the darkness, that that realigns them when they lose their way, like an ability to sense true north. While this trait is attributed, and in that, Haley, we had a card, I think, I forget what it was, the polar bear, but it was talking about true north, right? While this trait is attributed to the Vegans because of their spiritual commitments, card number 72, and self-discipline, card 24, every species has this ability to remember the essence of creation and never lose its way. It is only when beings get distracted by physical reality that they believe they have gotten lost. That's the ego playing tricks on you, your mind. If this card is in your reading, take a look at the surrounding cards in your life circumstances. The message may be that you need to go within and find your center once again, and not what your mind and ego tell you is center, but like your true soul source, the sun, your illumination of within. Find true north and trust it. The card could also be affirming that you're already strongly tapping into the skill, but most likely it's encouraging you to develop your natural ability to reconnect with the source, higher self, God, or whatever term you wish to use to denote the intelligent force in the universe that unifies us all. So on Earth, we're unified in life through the sun. Like we're all pretty much diurnal, like day animals. Like there's nocturnal animals, but like even the plants that the nocturnal and the animals and nocturnal animals eat or whatever is fueled by the sun. We need to be going within for illumination and not bullshitting with ourselves, telling ourselves the true. Going home, ultimately knowing that it's all good, that we played a game of self-delusion, and that coming back to the light of awareness is really the money shot, the payoff of this whole incarnational situation. That's why we're here, to remember what we chose to forget. It's always been the case, but have we the ability to remember? We have the Jackal Truth. This is very resonant to the that helps. It was very resonant to the Sagittarius. I mean, we're getting, the sun is the truth of illumination, of awareness, right? This is talking about the truth, like it or not. Don't bullshit yourself, right? Eight of Errors, the clarifier. Homing beacon, the truth that is true beyond perceptions, right? Separation. So, Jackal, truth, is the last card, actually, of Stacey DeMarco's Divine Animal Oracles deck. I actually just gave her a 4-hour chart reading the other day on Tuesday night, I guess. Monday night, maybe. Yeah, so that's longer than normal, but she had a lot of fun. I'm going to do her husband's chart next, and hopefully he'll come on the podcast. She'll come back on. So, Stacey DeMarco, shout out. Truth, Jackal. Authenticity is important. Live your truth fearlessly. Living your truth fearlessly is literally maybe the best description I could come up with Sun and Sag, Moon conjunct Mars, essentially in Aries. It's like fearless warrior truth-telling. Someone around you is not telling you the truth. Do not fear what you cannot control. We all will leave a legacy, so you should consider what this might be for you. Death is part of life. The sun also sets, right? Mythos. The majestic jackal-headed god Anubis stands next to the embalmer. He guides the embalmer's hands to sit so that they perform the correct actions and listen in satisfaction as the proper incantations are made. Infinitely gentle, Anubis takes great care of the tender new souls who have passed on to the next world, the afterlife. He travels with them, reassuring them, making them comfortable upon the surprising journey, and taking them to the goddess Mot, she who is law. It is she who will weigh their souls against the lightness of a feather, and it is she who will determine whether these souls will live forever. Anubis will record this in the great book of the dead. To our eyes, Anubis looks fearsome, but this is not the truth. Jackals did move among the graveyards and clear the dead, but this jackal hopes that the person has lived a truthful and good life. Eight of air. Are they lying to themselves? Are they living an ego life? Or are they living honest, truthful lives, integrous lives? He hopes that they've lived a truthful and good life so they can experience the afterlife, the reward, consequences, right? The alternative is that they get eaten by Ammit, the devourer of souls. When the cult of the god Osiris grew stronger in the later Middle Kingdom, Osiris took over many of Anubis' jobs as caretaker and protector of the dead. Thereafter, Anubis myths became more focused on specific embalming methods and mummification processes. The care and effectiveness, and this is talking about like saying the right spell, like having the right magic, right? Venus and Mercury and Scorpio. The underworld, right? Love of the dead. The care and effectiveness in which the mummification process was enacted is, wonder what that is still a marvel today. The priests of the funerary rites would place a sacred mask of Anubis upon their faces when conducting the mummification, and thus the dead person became the god himself. The animal. There are 3 species of jackal, all of which are members of the canine family. The golden jackal, the side-striped jackal, and the black-backed jackal. They are omnivores that are opportunistic both in hunting and scavenging, which is where the reputation for being around graveyards or sites of the war, Mars, Moon and Mars, Moon and Aries, as well as Mars and Aries, war, comes from, as jackals will come for the dead and consume them. Venus and Mercury in Scorpio. Jackals have large territories and are endurance animals quite able to travel over long distances and hot temperatures without breaks. They do not, and the sun, what's making it hot? The sun. They do not form large packs and are most often solitary, although hunting pairs are common. Mortality for jackal pups is high, and to protect her babies, a jackal mother will often move her pups to new dens every few weeks. The magic. Sometimes we need a big dose of truth in our lives, which is where jackal energy is a positive force. Even when finding out the truth of a situation means pain, it is better to know the truth, and jackal energy can be a comfort. This is good to know because there's been some things lately that I've been having to discuss, and it's uncomfortable, but the truth is better, even if it's painful, the truth is better than deception. Even when finding out the truth of a situation means pain, it is better to know the truth, and jackal energy can be comfort. Also call upon this energy when you or others are affected by death. Allow yourself to know that the person who has died has a soul that is being carefully protected and watched over. Mercury, Venus, Scorpio. It's like the dead are being guided and loved. Symbology. Jackal-headed man, flail, pointed ears, status. All jackals are listed of his least concern. There's quite a few of them, seemingly. But once again, this truth of the jackal, dealing with the underworld, the truth beyond the sun, the light of the sun, right? And I guess the Hall of Ma is like, are you living in truth, or are you like deceiving yourself? How have you been? Good boy, bad boy. This is funny because she talks about suns and moons too, and that like the polka dots. Our artist card is Yayoi Kusama. Interesting correlations to Mercury in Scorpio here, so we'll get to that. Okay, so Yayoi Kusama, she's Japanese. Now octogenarian Yayoi Kusama voluntarily lives in a mental institution in Japan. Very taboo, right? Where it's like, oh my God, are you crazy? Mercury, Venus, Scorpio. She's taking the actions herself for the best, for her truth. She's like, I need to be cared for, and I'm going to commit myself. Sun and Sag, Moon and Aries. Where she draws upon her visions and hallucinations for inspiration. Among the recurring elements of Kusama's work are polka dots, which she describes as the shape that makes us human, composed of particles, and unites us with the earth and the sun. We've got the sun card. So humans are united just because of circles, she's saying. Quantum kind of geometric resonance. Kusama's infinity rooms are mirrored artistic chambers that multiply bodies and alter perceptions. Over her long, prolific career, Kusama has led the avant-garde with bold happenings, big ideas, and bright wigs. Bold, big, and bright, very Sagittarius sun, Aries moon. Right? She's led the way. She's charged, right? She's been a warrior of her truth. Even if her truth, like she's shone brightly, like the sun. So, she's saying, distinguish yourself from your mirror image, right? So, we have to be careful that we're not deluding ourselves. We have to shine bright from a heart space, right? And we have to make sure that we're not, deluding ourselves with a mirror image of the ego, where it's like, this is who I am. It's like, no, it's not. Call yourself home, beacon home, right? Come back to a place of truth beyond perception, truth beyond ego, truth beyond opinion, truth beyond belief, all that kind of stuff, and distinguish yourself from your mirror image. Shine bright from the inside, your soul, let your soul shine. And when you do that, you know what you really are as opposed to what like your culture tells you, your body tells you, and these things are real, but they're not true ultimately. Your truth is something, your consciousness, right? And your truth knows that your ego is there to help you kind of process reality, but your soul is not your mind. Your soul is not your body. Your soul is not your beliefs or your defense mechanisms. We need to remember that and call ourselves home in such a way, right? Being a homing beacon, 71 Vega, call ourselves home to the truth and not get diluted with a mirror reflection, the illusions, right? The falsities, the non-truth. So let's get a stone, and then I will play some music. We have hematite. So you can quantumly entangle with hematite And yeah. All right, well, it's not getting any brighter. But hematite, what it is, hematite is a metallic charcoal that takes its name from the Greek word for blood. Like blood, it is full of iron. And like blood, hematite moves the good to where you need to need it and takes the bad away from where you don't. Who needs it? Anyone stagnating or spun out on something like a new crush or a lifelong existential dilemma, like where you need action, right? Mars, Aries, and Moon, Sagittarius, Sun. Where to put it? Wherever you are when you realize it's time to come back to Earth. When to use it? When you feel stuck, when it's that moon time of the month, when you want to pull energy from the earth below and use it to make big things happen. This is align to your wholeness. That is literally what this card is showing us. Aligning with the Bodhisattva story, she's aligning to her wholeness. Right? And our spirit is our wholeness. Align to it. Don't trip up on the ego. Don't be deceived by self-deception. Even though it serves a function, don't call yourself home. Go to a place of spirit. Unity, consciousness, right? God, however you want to look at that. Those are the places that matter, not so much like your opinions on things. We play out a drama in individual people. That's the truth, but the truth is bigger than our individual drama. Like our character is not the story, though our character is in a story, right? Distinguish yourself from the mirror image. That which you see outside of yourself, you're connected to, but isn't you. That which you're experiencing as thoughts isn't you. Don't attach too much to these things, right? Align to your wholeness, and the wholeness, the truth is that you are consciousness. Sun card. And that's a big truth. So move into that powerfully. Moon in Aries, right? It's a deep mystery. Mercury and Venus in Scorpio. But we are a complicated thing. Basically consciousness animating particular vessels to have experiences for the sake of all, the inspiration of the consciousness itself. Sagittarius Sun. That's a big weird truth, but it's true. So let's go ahead and play some music. And we shall jam to the Sun card with the Eight of the Eight of Air as the clarifier. That's very resonant because I've been dealing with self-delusion and deception, deceiving myself and others a little lately. Ask Haley. Shout out Haley, you're dope. So, let's go ahead and play the Sun card. Here comes the sun. Alright. You get the idea. So, it's actually more chill than the sun on Sagittarius. Sun card, Aries, Moon, all this stuff. It's very relaxed what I just did. But the truth can be calm too. It doesn't always have to be like aggro. Sometimes the truth we need is just like a sunset. It's just like, oh, it's pretty, it's true, I see it. The illusions of the day are gone. I'm going back home to the place where I know it's true and comfortable. Truth coming out hard, right? A bunch 44 Jackal. Ultimately, Sagittarius Sun is about truth, and we need to be not getting confused with the mirror image, not confusing ourselves with our ego, with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our culture. That's not who we are. We are something more profound and more true. I mean, I'm using the word truth a lot, but anyway, align to your wholeness with hematite. You can quantumly entangle with hematite, but ultimately align like the sun, like an eclipse, which we're about to have an eclipse soon. Align in a positively polarized sense of an eclipse, where it's like the illusions and the shadows are let go of, the self-deception is given up in favor of returning back to wholeness, coming back to the truth, and not like deluding ourselves, not confusing ourselves with splinters and fractures and illusions, right? Mirroring. Align yourself to the whole. So come back home and you will be happy you did that. I have a podcast today with Maiko Triz, I believe. He's been on before. He's cool. Virgo. He's in Colorado. Don't know what we're going to talk about. Hit me up for readings. Like I said, Stacey DeMarco just got one. It was 4 hours for an astrology chart reading. She loved it. You too can have an awesome reading. Cards also are available. And just know that we're here to shine brightly. And phases of the sun happen morning, noon, and night. But like ultimately, the sun is there, whether it's going through the atmosphere at a particular angle of refraction or whatever. So the truth is true, but it goes through perspective shifts, right? Angles, if you want to put it that way. So make sure you're just not letting go of the truth ultimately don't say, I like sunset and sunrise doesn't exist. That's not true. I'm being kind of redundant, but you get the point. Have a good Wednesday. Adios.